All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome once again to Sherdog.com for the trenches. This is our live chat. I am Anthony Walker, as you can read at the bottom of the screen, Sherdog contributor, joined, of course, by Captain Credential himself, the man. I mean, I got to put the camera on this guy because he's got the slick back hair. He's looking smooth. He's looking clean. He's looking like an extra from Greece. The man himself.
I love the jacket.
Jason Burgos, what is up, Jason Burgos? How you feeling, my brother?
It's a journalist named Slickback in here, y'all. I'm doing fantastic. It's cool to be back in my co-pilot instead of the main lead spot like I was last week. Excited, nonetheless. Excited to have you back. No disrespect to Ben. Ben's great, but he's not Anthony Walker.
Hey, you know, Ben held it down last week, so that was pretty cool. Ben held it down. So definitely shout out to Ben Duffy, who is like the most versatile man at Sherdog with the graphics, with the op-eds, news pieces, man. He does it all. So big shout out to Ben Duffy. And I like what he brought to the show. It was a little more reasonable than I can be sometimes. I can be a little bit excitable. Yeah. You know, there was no Duffy rant. And the people probably like that. I don't know, but y'all definitely gonna get a rant because I got a lot of shit to rant about. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's get started. Let's get straight to the shits right here. So, question number 1 is from how you pronounce it? Will Ko. All right, so this is going back to Chuck Tito since I was there. I didn't get to speak my piece on what it was like being there at the event. So we'll go ahead and cover that real quick. He says, so Ant, what did you make of Chuck versus Tito 3? Meltzer says it may have hit 40,000 pay-per-view buys. Is that enough to make Golden Boy MMA Part 2? Tito versus Hollywood Henderson. All right, so definitely a few things to address in that. First of all, what I made of Chuck versus Tito 3, the fight itself, complete trash, total gutter trash. It really wasn't much different than what I expected. The only difference was that I thought Tito would take him down and ground and pound a quick KO, but he kept it standing, got the same result. From the moment the bell rung, it was very clear Chuck had no business there if the open workout footage wasn't enough to indicate that. So honestly, it was very tough to watch. There was that nostalgia moment as they were about to walk out to the cage. You know, you see the flame shorts, you see the icicle shorts, and it's like, it was like, wow, I'm sitting here covering Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz, and you get that moment. It felt like a big fight in there. It really did. Forum was jumping for that fight. However, the moment that opening bell rang and Liddell threw that first jab, it was dreadful from there. It was horrible. So, and then of course, the way the event itself was run. I mean, the last time I was on the trenches, talked about the shit show that was the press conference. That was utter trash. Like there's nothing good I really can say about how that press conference was done. And the post-fight press conference was even worse. So De La Hoya didn't bother even showing up. Also, he had I forgive me for forgetting the gentleman's name who works under him at Golden Boy. He had him take his place, but he was even less informed than De La Hoya was, but he did pronounce Chuck Liddell's name right, so I'll give him that.
Victories.
So that was a plus side on that end. But it was, I mean, they did the press conference on the floor of the forum. Fine, you know, we've seen that happen. Boxing press conferences do that from time to time. No big deal. However, they were breaking down the cage behind us, and we had to like shout at them to make sure they had like actual audio mic'd up, so that we can hear what's being said. It was, and logistically, everything, it was total trash.
Yeah, how did the scheduling and the card itself, like how did it run?
It honestly didn't feel much different than a UFC event as far as the pacing of it. It felt about the same, I guess. I didn't really feel much of a difference there, but it was, the quality of the fights were not good. You know, and that's no disrespect to the gentleman that participated on that card. However, I mean, you look at the records and it speaks for itself. You got guys making their professional debuts. You got guys who fought 2 or 3 times, maybe. You had some serious squash matches set up as well. I mean, it just wasn't a very well put together show, and it reflected, and the pay-per-view buys tell it right there. I mean, this is beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
I quite honestly don't see Golden Boy making a return to mixed martial arts. at all with these pay-per-view returns. I mean, one thing I say, if Oscar did show up, if he was there, if he was present, if he was informed, if the people working directly underneath him were informed, maybe it would show some genuine effort, and then they could say, hey, we've honestly done this. So this is what it is. This is what it ain't. Maybe, you know, emotionally they could sway up and be like, hey, you know what? Maybe we'll try it again. Maybe we'll retool it. But they seem to show a complete disinterest in the product from jump. So with these returns, like, why even bother? You know, as far as the Tito versus Dan Henderson rumor, I did reach out to someone who did in fact tell me that, hey, that's just a rumor. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if it did. If it comes under Golden Boy's banner, whatever. Part of that would make sense if it came under Golden Boy's banner, considering Dan Henderson and Tito Ortiz have ties to SoCal. You know, a place that Golden Boy frequently visits for even their mid-tier boxing cards. That would make sense, but I don't care. Like, why are we doing this? Hard pass. Yeah, man, fuck this topic. All right. I just don't know what else to say. I just genuinely don't know what else to say about this. All right, so we'll go to question 2, a little more current. This is from Forum. At the tough finale, Usman demolished Dos Anjos, even earning a 50-43 on one scorecard. Judge Chris Lee scored at 48-47. What fight was he watching? But more importantly, did Usman leapfrog Colby for a title shot? And who would you rather see Woodley fight next? So I'll let you take that one first.
I mean, before we even talk about it, can we just talk? And I tagged you to that video with Usman just straight trash talking Colby behind backstage, and Colby just, I'm busy, I'm just texting, I don't hear anything, I'm busy. Like, I was like, oh my god, like straight punked out. Like, he just looked like he was so scared to confront what was happening. It was like, oh, it was so good, so hilarious.
I'll tell you the one thing, like, so I look at this in 2 different ways. First off, you know, as far as being a reasonable adult, that was the proper way to handle the situation. You know, you're a grown man, you fight for a living, but you get paid every time you fight. So jumping into a street fight with somebody who the UFC will pay you to fight doesn't make a lot of sense. However, you pop shit.
Yep. Exactly.
There are consequences. You pop shit.
Exactly.
And you know what? And this is a consistent thing we're seeing. Like, this is one of those reasons why I question the act or the persona of Colby Covington, because we've seen this crack now twice. We saw him pop and smoke at Brazilians. Fabricio Werdum stepped to him, threw a boomerang at him, and not only did he not retaliate, which I say is a smart move, the smart move, you know, for business purposes.
Especially as a heavyweight that actually can fight really well.
Yeah, I mean, he's only a former heavyweight champion in UFC, so you may not want that smoke. Yeah, but if you don't want that smoke, don't pop that shit. And he did press charges on him as well. So as far as street cred, gone, bro. It's gone. Your street cred, done. Like, the streets are done with you, as if they ever started with you.
Yeah. And it's crazy too, because I interviewed, when I was doing the Fight Strain podcast, I interviewed Colby maybe around now, a year ago, a little earlier or something like that. He was super cool. I really, really liked him. I even had his cell phone number and like texted him a little bit and stuff like that. Like, he was super nice. So this is completely like a gimmick, a character that he's portraying. And then like you just said, like, when the character gets checked, the character disappears, and it's like, oh, what did I say something? I didn't do that. You know, it wasn't me. It was, you know. And so, I mean, but you know, going back to the question, so the question was, did Usman leapfrog him? Which, no, because he's still. It's funny how Usman's kind of beating the guys Colby beat after Colby. He beat Maia after Colby. He beat Dos Anjos after Colby. He beat somebody else, I think, after Colby too. So it's like, I don't think he leapfrogged him because Colby already did it when those guys had a little bit more support and heat behind them. And so I don't think leapfrog. And what was the last question? If it should be Usman instead of Colby against Woodley?
Yeah. Like, who would you rather see?
I think we all, even though we've talked about on the show before, it's going to be a hot trash fire mess of a promotion. But yeah, we want to see Colby fight coming. I mean, fight Woodley. You know, we want to see that fight. You know, it's been built in for almost a year now. Them going back and forth, the connections to ATT. It's a far better story. Would Usman and Woodley be a good fight? For sure. And I think Usman is probably the more dangerous fight because at least he can strike a little. Yeah, he prefers to wrestle, but he can strike a little bit. And he's willing to. He's not afraid of it. So it will be fun. Probably a better fight. But I think for entertainment and for the fans to maybe don't like Colby to see him finally get his ass handed to him, possibly, yeah, I'd rather see him fight Woodley.
Yeah, I definitely would rather see the Woodley matchup, and I think that one's been brewing for a lot longer. Mm-hmm. And despite, you know, the trash, the dumpster fire promotion that would accompany that, at least it would touch on some things that are kind of true with their feud.
Yes.
So that is kind of what it is. And getting back to some other points on this question here from the forum, Chris Lee scoring at 48-47. That is utterly ridiculous. I quite honestly have no idea what he was watching. Mm-hmm. That was utterly ludicrous. There were simply very few moments where Dos Anjos even got the better of Usman, and when I say got the better of, I'm using that term very loosely. That was that was domination. Yeah. So to have a 50-43 and a 48-47 on the same fight is, I mean, somebody clearly was real tight about those 10-8s. So, and real tight about the 10-9s too. Like I quite seriously don't understand how you mathematically can come to that conclusion. And I watched that fight twice to try to understand it. Sorry, I don't. And as far as Usman leapfrogging Colby, no, I don't agree with that. And, you know, while this pains me to defend Colby Covington, he still genuinely got that belt. However stupid it was that the UFC created this interim title, he earned it. You know, he beat Dos Anjos to win a belt. You know, and that was his last fight. His last fight was winning a title fight. Yeah, I think that should earn you a title shot against the legitimate belt. So, what this says to me is that somewhere behind the scenes there's some sort of friction. To me, this sounds like a threat. This is Dana White saying, hey, you don't want to play ball if you're trying to hold out for more money or you're trying to pick the date or whatever the case may be, you can lose your slot. I think that's what it is, because here's the funniest thing about it to me. It wasn't that long ago when Usman was dominating his opponents, but it wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing thing when he beats Demian Maia. You know, when he beat Emil Weber Meek. Did I mix the three names up? Maybe. Yeah. And Emil Meek. Either way. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. So he beat. You know, he beat those two guys in pretty much the same fashion he beat Dos Anjos. There was like almost nothing different from that. So I don't think his performance, despite what Dana White said, you know, showed anything to leapfrog him. Maybe he's leapfrogging him in the negotiation table, right? But definitely not in the cage, man. It looks the same to me. Yeah. You know, quite frankly, both of them have very similar styles. I think they match up with Woodley in a very similar way. So we'll use that segue to jump into the next question from probably our favorite question guy, Europe One. You know it. That's the guy, Europe One. So he asks, who has the best opportunity to beat T Wood? Colby with his pace and enthusiastic striking, or Usman with his power wrestling and solid game plans? And I say they have an equal chance on doing it. And I don't think either one of them really can compare to what Woodley has to offer. Woodley has, you know, equal if not better MMA wrestling chops to both gentlemen, but he's the far superior striker. Yes, pace-wise, they keep a faster pace, but Woodley has been very, very good at maintaining good output despite being tired in the later rounds. So I don't even think the stamina narrative necessarily plays out. And if your striking is that much of a liability against someone with the power and skill of Woodley, the night might end early. So I don't think Woodley's going to have much of a time with either one of these guys. But Usman maybe would give him more work simply because he might have a strength advantage. And that's kind of where I see that. But I don't think it'll be much of a difference when it actually happens. So yeah,
Colby Covington got, bloodied and lumped up by Demian Maia. I mean, that's not very good. And the fact that he has a wrestling style that he's gonna, he pushes a crazy pace, but he takes some to get onto guys' legs. And this is a wrong kind of guy you got to take some from. I mean, Darren Till just found out who's supposed to be, arguably, everybody was thinking he may be the best striker in the division. So this is a guy that's just so explosive, even at his age, and dangerous, and a big-time striker. So I don't like Colby Covington's chances, pace and all, So if your strategy is, well, hopefully if he gets to the 4th or 5th round, he might have a better chance. I don't like that. And Usman, of the two, he feels like the guy that he's more sound technically if it's striking. He can wrestle, like you mentioned, a strength advantage. So there's something to him where could he catch Tyron with a big shot because he's more tactically sound? I can believe that possibility more than I can believe Colby doing that. Like, the only way I think Colby even does any damage on the feet is because Tyron's just completely underestimating him and sleeping on him, and that's about it. But yeah, I agree that they're pretty fairly close. Tyron should be able to beat both of them, but I feel like Usman has more of an upside. Like, he has a skill set that maybe he can take his game to another level going into this fight. I just don't see that in Colby. He is what he is. He's very good at what he is, but to beat a guy of Tyron's level, unless he ages like that in that time, you need to be a well-rounded fighter, and Colby is not a well-rounded fighter.
Yeah, and that's a good point you bring about Tyron Woodley suddenly aging. I mean, the guy has been wrestling for most of his life. He's been competing in mixed martial arts not nearly as long as a lot of others, but he's got some miles on his body, man. Injuries are piling up. Exactly, man. And age is serious. Father Time is undefeated, and it could creep up on you. I'm about the same age as Woodley, and I feel the difference when I train now. I feel the difference. It is not the same, bro. It is not the same at all.
My knees do not feel my age sometimes.
Tell me about it, man. It's a struggle once you get to a certain age. Your body is starting to fall apart, and that can happen overnight. But if the Woodley that has shown up for his last, every fight since Rory McDonald, if that Woodley shows up, then I don't think either one of these guys on their best day is going to really give him too much trouble.
Which I asked you the question then, before we get to the next question, is Tyron Woodley's best threat or biggest threat in the division, not really in the division so much as it's himself and his age? Is there anyone on the right? He beat Till. He's already beat Thompson. We don't feel Usman or Covington's the guy. I don't know if I think Ponzinibbio's the guy. Is there no one other than just himself and his age, his biggest threat?
Ponzinibbio, I think, is a legit threat. I think he's more well-rounded than the other two gentlemen, and he's got very good striking as well. So I wouldn't. It's Ponzinibbio.
But if Thompson and Till couldn't do it, why would he do it? You know what I mean?
Well, because the blend of the skill set, being well-rounded. Wonder Boy is not going to double leg take you down. Wonder Boy isn't going to catch you in a triangle choke. Like, that's not in his typical repertoire. Like, he's gonna take that karate stance. He's gonna do what he does from there. Demian Maia is not a very good striker. So as long as you stay off the ground, you should be able to beat him if you have Woodley's striking abilities. But Ponzinibbio is kind of like that happy medium. He's a guy who has very good striking ability, but he also has very good grappling ability. And I think and that's one of the problems that we've seen with the matchmaking for Tyron as of late, is that he's been getting knocked for mediocre performances or stuff that's boring or whatnot, but he's been fighting specialists. And specialists normally call for a very specialized game plan. With Ponzinibbio, that specialized game plan is not going to look like simply avoiding one area of combat altogether. It won't necessarily look like that. So I think he could be a genuine threat. I wonder what those training sessions between Woodley and Askren look like, because Askren is such an amazing wrestler that he's able to take down just about anybody and hold them down. So that would be interesting. If we see that, we probably won't. But Woodley's age might catch up to him before anybody in the division does. That's definitely a strong possibility. And he's also doesn't seem like the type that's going to stick around to be in that that Chuck Liddell fight. Like, he's not that guy to do that.
I got another question for you. Sorry for him. we're not getting to these questions yet, but I got another question. Is because he's wanted to shit. He's been saying it for a long time, and I feel like he's getting it. Other than GSP, is Tyron Woodley pretty much now the second best welterweight of all time? Has he surpassed Matt Hughes?
I think so. I think he surpassed Matt Hughes. I think the Darren Till victory sealed him as the number 2 welterweight of all time, in my opinion. And I'm willing to say, hey, Hughes 2, Woodley 3. That makes sense to me. I'm not going to die on that hill, but that would be my first estimation. I mean, you look at the caliber of guys that he's taken out at the points that he's taken them out, and I think that bodes very well. What
does he need to do to surpass GSP? He's got Lawler, he's got Demian Maia, he's got Darren Till, he's got Thompson, and a draw. I mean, if he beats Colby, or he's got some really good wins. Stephen Thompson and Demian Maia and Robbie Lawler are all guys that you think, they sort of almost like, and Lawler had the title, like those are guys that if they, like Fitch and Koshik were in their time, if George didn't exist, they probably might have been a champion, or Carlos Condit. Like, he held them up, Stephen Thompson, Demian Maia, from being a champion. Like, he's become that kind of quality. What does he have to do to pass GSP then? He's done so much.
You know what? I never even thought about it that way. That is because he has definitely he stopped Condit at a particular point, which is wild to think of. But also GSP was able to stop Condit at his actual title shot. So, something like that, man. And we also never saw him against Hendricks, and that was a fight that was booked and ready to go until Hendricks blew the weight cut. Yeah. So I honestly don't know, but I think when it happens, we'll know it.
Right.
Of course, if GSP were to come back to fight Tyron, which is something I don't think will happen, then we definitely can reopen this conversation and evaluate it like that, because then Woodley can say, hey, I beat the lineal middleweight champion as well.
Right.
And that could send it over the top. And of course, since it is actually GSP, that could throw it over the top. But I don't know, man. I think we got to see where a lot of the welterweight division is going to play out. Because the thing is, the names that are there don't hold the same esteem as some of the names that GSP beat, but that could just be nostalgia playing.
He's getting to that point where like GSP was, where GSP had to fight Dan Hardy. He fought like Nick Diaz when Nick Diaz probably didn't deserve it. He's getting to that point where the threats are starting to become dwindling. He's got Colby, who I don't think he could be, and then Usman and Ponzinibbio are like, right there at the cusp, but we're still not completely sure if they're going to get the shot, if they can do it or not. Like, he's in that weird spot. He's beating everybody. Now you're searching for people.
Yeah, so we'll see, man, what else the division has to offer. I think also if Khabib decided to move up to welterweight, that could be very interesting as well. Although I still would probably favor Tyron in that.
Yeah, me too.
So I think time will tell. But if he does surpass Georges St-Pierre, we will know it the moment it happens. Yeah. It will be very clear, and I think it will be something that won't really be up for debate. Like, it'll just happen, and we'll all be stunned and spilling beer out of our noses or whatever we do when amazing things happen. All right, so let's get back to some of these questions here. This is a question off of Twitter. Let's see. The UFC loves to feed old legends to young up-and-comers to build their names, but in Australia, 2 of the 3 older fighters, Dos Anjos and Shogun, won by knockout. What does the UFC do when that happens? What do they do? I guess you just keep trying.
It's probably a good thing. Maybe you find out maybe they're not quite who we thought were, so we pull the reins back a little bit.
Right. I mean, it's one of those things where you just have to be prepared. And I think in the past, the UFC has been very good about that. They typically, that old Joe Silva style of matchmaking where winners fight winners, losers fight losers. And there was a very established hierarchy, even if there wasn't an official ranking system. I think that was very good for what it was at the time. But now with the matchmaking just kind of being muddled, just kind of almost like you're just picking names out of a hat at times, you don't know what you're going to get. So the UFC previously seemed to have a plan for no matter how the fight turned out. If the big prospect you were building up, if he lost, hey, that's cool. Because the other guy he's fighting, he's decent too. So we're going to work with him. But now where it seems to be they're stacking these fights so somebody wins and somebody definitely loses. And it's the name that you kind of want to win because you feel like you can do more. I mean, don't look no further than the fact that this fight took place in Australia. So how dope would have been for the Australian crowd to see Junior Dos Santos get knocked out by Tai Tuivasa, have Tyson Pedro smoke a legend in Shogun Rua. That would have been fantastic for the crowd. But hey, real life happens. So this is just something they're not to plan around. I mean, 205 is already a dumpster fire. So this just delays Tyson Pedro being a solid name that can sneak his way up to title contention. Because let's be honest, Shogun is not there, even if he's still ranked. I think he's still ranked in the top 10.
Yeah, he probably is.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's just going to have to keep playing out, and they're going to have to keep trying to be smarter about the matchmaking. So I do like the fact that that these legends have give themselves that one little taste of glory again. And I don't think we should be putting Junior Dos Santos out the pasture anyway.
Yeah, no, yeah, I gotta say something about that.
Yeah. I think JDS definitely has some life left in him. Shogun, Jay just let me know. Shogun is ranked number 12 right now. And hopefully, Jay, if you can get back to me on that, is Shogun ranked 12 for Sherdog, or is he ranked 12 official UFC rankings?
Yeah.
Although the Sherdog rankings are much more relevant to real life.
Yeah.
God, those UFC rankings are trash. So yeah. Anyway,
I mean, to me, I think they did it. Looking at some of the stats, like Pedro lost to Ovince St. Preux, so they gave him a solid, good fighter. So and they're like, okay, well, we believe in him. He lost to Ovince St. Preux. Let's give him somebody good. Let's give him a name that seems like it could be winnable, and see how it goes. And he couldn't get it done. Maybe Tyson Pedro is a nice, solid, middle of the road fighter. Maybe that's what we're finding out, which isn't a bad thing. You'd rather him find it out now. And Tuivasa, to me, I'm not on the Tuivasa hype train. Like, to me, in the heavyweight division, you have these guys that they're these large kind of guys. They're heavy hitters. They're brawler types. They do real well. They're real fun, and then they come to reality. Now, they did the right thing. They gave him Andrei Arlovski in his last fight, and he won the fight. He won it by decision, though. So if you can't knock out Arlovski, that's probably maybe a sign that maybe, there's still some development needed, because he's a guy that the best seem to knock out. So he got another shot against a slightly step up. He won against Arlovski, and Dos Santos beat him. Dos Santos is one of those guys that he's the elite. The elite of the heavyweight division are not going to be these sloppy guys that look like they don't have the kind of nutrition they should and the kind of workout they should. You have to become a professional. Derrick Lewis is a rare breed exception that he gets away with just eating crap and hardly working on. He's still great because he has uncanny power, and we've seen it. He's been losing fights and can bail himself out. If you can't do that, you need to be full-on professional. And I don't know how serious Tuivasa is about his physicality, how good of an athlete he could, because he's an athlete, but I don't think he's taken it to the next level like you need to. And maybe this fight does it, and I think that's what it was. Like, maybe he's not the next echelon. He's a good fighter, but he's not the upper echelon in the heavyweight division, where you have the Werdums when he's not on suspension, JDS, Volkov, Daniel Cormier, Stipe Miocic. These are well-rounded, very good athletes, very good fighters. Maybe he's not there yet. Maybe he needs to do something to take that next step.
Yeah, and I mean, at the very least, these guys get the chance to develop, and they test themselves against world-class opposition and see where they stand. So that's always a good thing. I mean, it took GSP to lose to Matt Hughes to become GSP. Yep. We have example after example after example of this. And we see these fighters build themselves up after some of these losses. So in the long run, a lot of these things are going to be good for the up and coming guys. And maybe we'll see improved versions of them in the future. And also, let's just pay homage to Jay, who did drop the gem on us about the rankings. Sherdog ranks Shogun in the netherworld. He is not on the Sherdog.
He's on the proverbial bubble.
He's not even on the bubble. He's not even a bubble lister on Sherdog. But the UFC ranks him at number 12. So, so that's still a higher ranking than you think Shogun would have in 2018.
Yeah.
But he's also on a sneaky good run right now.
Was he like 4-1
in his last 5 or something like that? Yeah. So I don't know, man. This is the Wild West that we're dealing with. Let's go to the next question, man. All right, so we got one, and I'm sure this will take us down a rabbit hole as well. Another one from the man himself, Europe One.
Oh,
yeah, Europe One, man, doing the damn thing. Shout out to Europe One. You, sir, get the Kung Fu Bow of the day. All right, so he asks, considering the Fury Wilder judging travesty, at what risk do you think we are at seeing fixed decisions in MMA, or has it already happened? Lot to unpack here. I do love the question. Perhaps I'll revisit this in the Ask Ant column with a less rushed, sudden stream of conscious answer to this. But first off, let's talk Wilder Fury. I was there covering that one for Sherdog.com. Shout out to everyone on the Twitter that despise my scorecards. I love y'all too. Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. What did you think
of the fight? Was it one of the better? I mean, because I didn't get to see the fight. From the reaction on Twitter, it seemed like it was a really good fight. Is it one of the better heavyweight fights, right up there with like Joshua Klitschko?
It was an incredible fight. That fight was incredible, and of course, being in the building definitely is going to shape my viewpoint of it. Yeah. That was the craziest I've seen an arena for any sporting event. It was fantastic. Fury fans are serious. They are very serious people. They were there, man. They were there. Like Wilder was getting booed in the U.S. Like he was getting booed in L.A.
Wow,
that was crazy. That was definitely crazy to me. Wilder fans were there. There was a lot of Wilder fans there. They just weren't as vocal, but the energy in the building was insane, man. Celebrities all over the place. It was crazy. Like my Twitter feed for a little bit, my personal Twitter turned into like celebrity sightings for a while. I was sitting right by the tunnel where the fighters were walking out. Yeah. So, I'm so trash for not knowing how to work the Instagram stories. I was trying to load up Instagram stories for the walkouts, but I was screwing it up. So I don't know what I'm doing, man. I'm so trash on Instagram, but yeah, man. So, a bunch of rappers and actors and stuff were there. The fans were wild. The fight itself was fantastic. My scorecard was 114-112 for Wilder. My opinion of it is not, I don't think it was a robbery either way. I've seen all these extreme reactions, and it's so funny in combat sports when someone's guy loses, it's always a massive conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Sometimes fights are just really close. And they're hard to score. So
Canelo, Triple G, how tough are those two fights?
Exactly, and it doesn't take away from the quality of the fights themselves. I always find it so funny how, and go back on the Sherdog Twitter feed, and you will see all these reactions. Oh, boxing is this. I'm so done. No, you're not. No, you're not. Your punk ass gonna be right there for the next one. Don't even front. Do not even front. So you love it. You'll be there again. When they rematch, you'll be there. When Anthony Joshua fights either one of them, you'll be there. So knock that shit all the way to fuck off. You will be there. It was funny, man. It was funny. It was people on Twitter. There was one guy who was like calling for me to be fired.
What?
Oh my god. Dude, it was hilarious. Like I loved it. Shout out to my man Matt Wells. Who also is a combat sport journalist, and he was doing the same thing on Twitter, just having fun with folks. And, so we DM'd each other about that. Thought that was funny to share those stories. But yeah, man. So that was my scorecard on that. I think the 115-111 was definitely outrageous to me. But at the same time, it was so many swing rounds. To me, it looked like. And you can, see my brief recap of this on the Good, Bad, and the Ugly from last week, where I thought it was Wilder's aggression that won him the fight simply because Fury didn't take enough of those opportunities to counter. He's definitely the better boxer, hands down, the better boxer. But at the end of the day, I don't think he did enough boxing. I don't think he did enough of it, and that's it. But hey, great fight, loved it. But as far as the risk of fixed decisions in MMA, I think we've seen that already. I believe wasn't there one in Korea? I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jay. If you know this one, hit me up on the chat about it. But I think there was one where someone was charged or suspected of something, and it was because the betting lines moved in a very strange fashion. They suspected the fight was fixed, and ends up some sort of criminal charges came about in the Philippines or North Korea, South Korea about it. So I believe it's happened. I think we can look back at some of the archives of Pride and see a couple fights that were works. Fixed fights are not unheard of. I'd be very surprised if they haven't happened in MMA. I'm pretty certain there are judges who are either really, really stupid. And I think that's probably more so the case than just really corrupt.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of really stupid people in this world, and some of them find them ways to be judges. And that's just kind of what it is. Some people are just really stupid. And you look at the makeup of commissions, they are a government agency, and government agencies tend to be really stupid. They tend to mess things up a lot. So you have a lot of people who have no business judging fights, who probably should be a meter maid or something, yet they are dropping scorecards, can't do basic arithmetic, as one of the judges in the Wilder Fury fight did as well. We saw that even happen in Australia with the first DJ and Ian McCall, just math errors. And it's going to be, things are going to be screwed up sometimes with human error, with stupidity. But don't be shocked if corruption is part of it as well. So Jay got back to me on that one. Tai Juan Bang, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that, took bribes to throw the fight against Leo Kuntz at Fight Night 79. Kuntz. Wow, that didn't really hit me. That didn't really hit me what I was saying until.
I want you to say the first name again. The other guy.
Leo.
No, Tai Wang.
Tai Wang. But I'm so garbage at pronouncing names. And I'm so sorry, because I'm very big on it. I want to pronounce people's names correctly. Whenever I meet fighters and interview them and stuff, I'm like, hey, I don't want to butcher your name. So I can't pronounce his name. I'm sorry, bro.
There's gonna be a new name in the forum, Leo Kuntz.
Yeah. It's like the Lethal Weapon character's cousin or something like that.
Yeah. Leo Getz.
Yeah. All right. So the correct pronunciation is Tai Han Bong. Now, when he fought Leo Kuntz at Fight Night 79 in South Korea, he took bribes to throw the fight. He ended up winning by split decision, but he was sentenced to 10 months in prison. So yeah, I had some of the story right. So shout out to me. I'm the shit.
I remember, I think when Rampage for Sakuraba, I think there's a story. He said something like the promoters told him to not take him down or something like that. There was some weird stuff even with that fight. And that's two names that a lot of people know. So, I mean, fixed is a strong word. Yeah, you're right. It happens. I don't know if what's happening in the major companies here, because it's so deadly and there's a strong press in the U.S. and all that kind of stuff. So it's a dicey proposition. But I think you nailed it. There's just some stupid judging, especially MMA, because they've had this history of boxing judges who aren't even great at their jobs doing another sport that's completely different and much more involved and technical in a lot of ways because of the varied arts that are in it. So you have that. I mean, that's why I'm glad to see. I think it was I think it was Chris Lieben recently. I think it was on the Golden Boy that he was a ref and a judge. Yeah, he was there. Yeah, you're getting that. Ricardo Almeida has been doing judging. There's Frank Trigg as a referee. Finally, as the time goes on, maybe we'll get more people that are part of the industry getting into this and helping it, because I would gander guess that probably judges aren't getting paid big money. They probably have regular jobs to do it on the side. So what's the true passion of these people judging fights? Do they truly love it, or it's like a job that they I'm getting paid basic money, whatever? Are the judges going into their assignments, having researched the fighters' last 3 or 4 fights, knowing how they fight, going into it, or are they well, this is what I think it wins a fight. I'm going to go with this because I did a story for MMA Sucker 2 years ago about the judging, and even when you look at the guidelines on some of judging, they don't even follow it. It just doesn't make sense. Defense isn't scored very well in MMA and stuff like that. So there's that. The system's bad. And I think just the people they hire are just not the cream of the crop, and they're not getting the best. There's elites, there's very good ones, but with so many fights, so many undercards or whatever, you're gonna have these bad situations, and you're gonna have them in the big fights where people are just completely unqualified for a job that important.
Yeah, I definitely, man. And you could think of a couple of examples of U.S. fights where something fishy was going on. I mean, we've heard the rumors about Kimbo Slice and Frank Shamrock. Or excuse me, Ken Shamrock, when they were supposed to fight in Elite XC and Seth Petrozelli took his place. Right. Seth being told not to take him down. Even the dubious circumstances and where Shamrock was injured before the fight, and there have definitely been some very strange occurrences. But then you look at just the overall just stupidity or just dogmatic nature of a lot of the people who have been involved in judging combat sports. Take a look at Cecil Peoples, who thank God we haven't seen him in forever. My God, that man sucked. So for and I know he's I think he's apparently a very well respected karate teacher in Las Vegas, but which has merit. Like that's commendable. Karate is no joke. So cool. But if you are judging a mixed martial arts fight and you have the audacity to say leg kicks don't count, get all the way the fuck up out of there. Like you don't belong. Like that's just it. Adelaide Bird, who I am always raking over the coals for her habitual bad scorecards that she's turned in. From my understanding, and maybe some people that are more in the know can hit me up and correct me. But from what I understand, she's in her position, or at least was in her position, because her husband is Robert Bird, who's a very well respected referee for the Nevada Commission. So with the combination of nepotism and politics and just straight dumbassery, you're going to have some very questionable things happen when it comes to the scorecards. Somehow or another, and now this probably was just blatant corruption for the Ross Pearson and Diego Sanchez scorecards. Maybe that was just crazy, but anyway, it is what it is. I mean, wow. Very, very, very fun stuff out of the commissions as always. All right, so let's see here. Next question from the poll. So this is kind of the hot topic.
Did you use my poll question that I suggested?
No, I did not use your poll question. What was your poll question, by the way, Jason?
My poll question for all you fine listeners and viewers out there was, should Crave cut the check? With the answers choices being yes, cut the check and rep your set, or B, meh, no. What do you people think?
Crave, cut the damn check. Stop the bullshit. Cut the check. I mean, really, what are we doing here? What are we doing? We over here trying to provide y'all some content. We over here trying to gather up this fan base, trying to get this highly reputable name, Sherdog.com, back ringing, strong in these streets, and y'all bullshitting. Man, cut the check, man. Cut the nonsense. Cut the check. I mean, it's crazy. So while you're cutting out the nonsense, you can simultaneously cut the check.
Yes.
It's a very simple procedure. Just one cut.
Yes.
Just one cut, bro. Like, that's all. Cut the check, man. Knock this bullshit off. All right. So here we go. Our poll question, the actual poll question. And this is the hot button topic right now in mixed martial arts. And I'm definitely looking forward to talking about this with you. Should the UFC have booked Greg Hardy on the same card as Rachel Ostovich? And why did they? Please, you know what? I'm gonna let you go ahead because I'm gonna get fired up. You first.
Actually, I was a guest. Shout out to Sasha at MMA Sucker. He had me on his show, and we talked a little bit about this. And I'm a part of the Mixed Martial Arts Journalists Association, and they like an ongoing email from yesterday into today where somebody brought up, are they going to make a statement about it? And some of the stuff in the emails was great because one of the people that is a part of the association, a well-known writer, he was there. He said that they, for like the whole thing, when writers wanted to bring up the question of this, because it was such a major story to Dana White at the press conference, some PR person he had never really seen before came up to them like minutes before they were about to start the press conference, pretty much saying, okay, guys, let's keep it just about fighting related questions and the fighters on the card. And they pretty much were like, so you mean don't ask about Greg Hardy? And in so many words, the guy was like, Yeah, don't ask about it. So they actually made like a statement about it, came up with everything, but I don't know. I mean, today Dana White was interviewed by what's his name, Aaron
Bronster. Yeah.
Yeah. So he pretty much said that he to paraphrase, he got clearance in a way from Ostovich that she thought was fine. She didn't have a problem with it. They, he didn't hit her or whatever. They don't have any connection with each other. Second chances, as they keep throwing out there, and they just didn't. And I get it. Like, okay, if Ostovich is fine with it, that should kind of quell the issue a little bit. She is the person as the victim or whatever. Everybody's kind of like, oh, it's messed up. But in the end, it's kind of the issue of, which is a constant thing with the UFC these days, straight up being tasteless. It's a tasteless decision. And I think Luke Thomas said it yesterday in a tweet. They have events like 2 weeks later, like multiple events in February, March. Really? He couldn't have been on anything else. I get it. It's going to haunt him for the rest of his career, and it should. He deserves it. And he didn't have to have a career. He had made millions of dollars with the Panthers and Cowboys. He really probably shouldn't even have to worry about fighting, but he probably blew that because he might be a bit of a numbskull. So they could have put him on another card just to avoid it, or at least to show you they know they did something wrong, that instead of having some PR person come up and be like, oh, could you not talk about it? Own it. You know what, everybody? Just to let you know, there's not going to be any question about the Greg Hardy thing, but Dana's going to make a statement to start off the press conference. Dana White can come out and say, look, okay, we made a mistake here, or we felt this decision here. We're going to move them. Apologize for anybody that's bothered by it, for any victims of domestic abuse that are uncomfortable with the situation. We're going to do some adjustments. He's got to get a second chance to live his life. He's going to be on this card. Or whatever. Or just eat it. Don't avoid it. Let them answer questions, and then take it like a man and answer the questions of your decision. But to do it makes no sense. I know she's fine with it. That I get it. It just seems classic current UFC tasteless trashing.
Absolutely tasteless, absolutely ridiculous, and totally unnecessary. Mm-hmm. So Rachel Ostovich has said that the Dana White story is true. She is okay with it, but she said she's okay with it. I don't know whether I really believe that or not. Like, not to call her a liar, not to question her integrity, but this is also the same organization that has viciously lashed out at people that have gone up against them. Yeah. Who haven't done very simple things to fall in line with the company lines. So I don't know whether I should believe that or not. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but and I'm gonna screw up another name, but I believe Jesse something. I can't remember the last name right now. Who was supposed to be
Jesse
on?
Taylor?
You say what now?
The Ultimate Fighter guy that was on it twice, Jesse Taylor?
No, not Jesse Taylor. He was supposed to fight on this card this weekend. Mm-hmm. He said that he was not going to be able to make weight. They got him last minute, like a week and a half or 2 weeks or something before the fight, and this was offered to him. And he realized he couldn't make weight when he got there to Toronto. And Jesse Ronson is his name. They pulled him off the card as a result and pulled his new deal with the UFC. Wow. After he agreed to a late notice fight. So if you don't do what you're told a lot of times, there will be retaliation. Let's take a look at Leslie Smith. Yeah, who is still trying to find a promotional home due to the backlash from Project Spearhead. So I have a very difficult time that believing that her saying okay to this was because she's genuinely okay with this. And even if she is genuinely okay with this, how stupid is it to completely undo and not even from a moral standpoint, just from a PR standpoint, how stupid is it to simultaneously undo the good PR that comes from Rachel Ostovich making that walk to the cage on January 19th as a recent victim of domestic violence who is not going to take that shit standing there and decides that her career and her life is still going on. And you're going to undermine that by having Greg Hardy, who is accused of horrible things and by all accounts paid his way to get out of those horrible things on the same card when it's totally unnecessary, completely unnecessary. Greg Hardy's debut would have drawn controversy regardless for understandable reasons, but you had to pick this card.
Yeah,
this card that in an impromptu way has now could now be used as like an empowering rallying cry for a female fan base that's grossly underserved.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're just going to give the second chances to the guy who's not even sorry about what he did. Who, to my knowledge, everything I've read and heard from this man has not really taken ownership of his actions. A guy who hasn't shown genuine remorse. Fuck out of here with that. I'm sorry. Like I can't get behind that in any way, shape, or form because it's totally unnecessary. If there were only 2 UFC cards all year, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Some motherfuckers just got to be on the same card.
Yeah.
Okay. They were so quick to pull the Artem Lobov and Zareb, the guy.
Oh, Zabit Magomedov?
No, not
Magomed Sharipov.
No, not Magomed Shapirov. The guy who was originally supposed to fight him from Connor's, from Khabib's camp. Yeah, that guy. So they pulled that fight for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And they made and I'm sure that until a rematch between Connor and Khabib could ever happen, those two camps are probably going to be kept apart for obvious reasons. When you have this many fight cards, you can work around some shit.
Yeah. Yep.
There is no reason, especially now with 233 being a week after the ESPN debut. Mm-hmm. It's just a week away. They pulled the main event, the Cejudo Dillashaw fight. They pulled that, moved it to the ESPN card. So maybe you don't need the Greg Hardy cosign. Maybe you don't need those extra eyeballs, but you might need them for the pay-per-view. So from a business standpoint, a PR standpoint, everyone, it's like, why? Like, so now not only are you invalidating the potential goodwill that you get for women and people who are sympathetic to victims of domestic abuse, not only do you undo that, you also boost the profile and stoke the fires again for the controversy of signing Greg Hardy in the first place. That's a bang up job right there. Like what the fuck was anybody thinking? Mm-hmm. And here's the thing that I think now where it's like it's kind of going to be hard to just kind of get out of it unless a injury happens and they have to reschedule the fight, which I think now is probably going to be the move if the backlash continues the way it's going. Mm-hmm. But Brett Okamoto's original tweet where he said this, when he said that Greg Hardy was going to be put on that card, he said this was directly from Dana White. Mm. So you can't even say, hey, some intern or some low-level staffer screwed something up or was just an oversight. Like, no, y'all knew. Y'all just didn't care.
Yeah. Yep.
And I guess they thought everybody was too stupid to care. And then to attempt to silence the MMA media about this. I mean, you were smart enough to know that it was going to be asked. So you were smart enough to not do it in the first place.
Yep.
So they just don't give a fuck. That's pretty much all I can come up with.
And what's crazy, the reason why it's even more of a story too is because they could not fucking help themselves. Like, you are the world leader. You are the industry trendsetter for this sport of MMA, the UFC. UFC is the thing. That is the number one, the NFL of the sport. This guy, I mean, he was on the Cowboys like a couple years ago. All this drama happened 3 years ago? It wasn't that long ago. Why? How many times did UFC sign somebody that's like 2 fights into a career? If this dude was not named Greg Hardy, a former NFL player, and he was just some regular nobody that got into MMA and had done this, they would not have touched him. But they just cannot help themselves with something that will draw eyeballs and get ratings. They could have easily, you know what? We're not going to touch him. We just don't want to deal with that. That would have been like, well, that's just the press we don't want. Let him go to Bellator. Let him go to PFL. Let him be in this MMA thing. Let him show that he's a star. He's like 8-0. He's a legit talent that, you know what, the fans demand. He's a great fighter. He has to be in the best organization. No, they went ahead and got him like 3 fights into a career against on the low level already in the UFC. What if he like just loses 3 in a row and he sucks at this? You know, they dealt with all this heat and all this drama because they couldn't help themselves because of the name. Because in the end, no matter what press it is, it's good press. And they brought him in. They could have just waited. They should have just waited. If they would have just waited till fight 7, 8, like any normal prospect, they never have any of this. None of this happens. And when he gets there, everybody else could have dealt with the drama, and they would have got a guy who's 5 years removed, a good fighter who's been on the straight and narrow for a long time and proven that he's worthy of it. Nope, but they couldn't do it, and they got him in already. And it'll be pretty funny if he comes in and he just flops, which is completely possible. So they cannot help themselves. And again, their decision making is so questionable these days, and it makes you hard to support him. That's why I'm so supportive of PFL, Combates America, Bellator, because it's good to have alternative. Because if they're the only show in town with these kind of questionable decisions, it's like hard to watch it. We already got enough in the NFL. We already got enough with weird things in the MLB, NBA. You know, at least there's other places to watch too.
Yeah, I'm with you on most of what you said there too, and let's also keep in mind that when War Machine, as disgusting and despicable as of a human being as he is for the record, he is a pile of human waste. This guy, when the headlines came out, UFC fighter, beats his girlfriend half to death. Dana White was real quick to jump on air. To jump in front of a microphone and a camera and say, hey, he's not a UFC guy. He hasn't been with us for a long time. So they were so quick to distance themselves from this. There wasn't that long ago where Will Chope was cut instantly because of some old domestic violence case that apparently between his ex-wife that, to my knowledge, was resolved or whatever the case may be. And he was cut, no questions asked. So I'm not getting, there's no consistency. There's, and now to not, and that's enough. That's problematic enough that you have no consistency, that you allow guys with these backgrounds like Abel Trujillo to still be on your roster. And all the questions surrounding Anthony Johnson. You've allowed some of these guys, and Thiago Silva was brought back in the UFC after whatever the hell he did. So you've had these questionable characters around and things going on, these incidents that were either swept under the rug or, that were just ignored essentially. And now, not only that, that's bad enough, but okay, this fight game doesn't have the nicest of people. I get that. But then to magnify that by putting him alongside someone who got through a really tough and personal situation that resonates, unfortunately, with a lot of people in the world. I can't wrap my mind around it. It's just dumb. It's stupid. It's disgusting. It's disrespectful. It's so grossly tone deaf that it borderlines on just being completely blind and deaf and dumb to the larger world outside of your office. Yeah. It's crazy. There's nothing to condone about that. So, and another thing too, man, I find it really funny that there are so many people defending the timing of this booking, and they don't see a problem with it. First of all, I don't understand where the snowflake thing, like I've seen that so much. Every Twitter line's snowflake. Like, all right, okay, so precipitation is an insult. if you say so. I don't get it. Like, if whatever. But I mean, if you can't wrap your mind around what's going on, you are a fucking idiot. That's it. You're an idiot. So I want everyone who thinks along those lines that, oh, it's okay, and they don't have like an inkling of reservation about it, that nothing about them feels weird or wrong or just questions this, that there's no doubt in your head that this is a good idea. Please do me a favor and slam your head firmly into a brick wall, because you ain't hurting much. Ain't a whole lot working upstairs, player. If that's how you thinking, you dumb motherfuckers. And I swear, every time we come across something like this, it reminds me of how stupid people are.
Yes.
The stupid people have taken over the world, man. I mean, I don't know what to do.
That stupid person is a president. They taking over this country.
Man, I'm telling man, I should just be dumb. I should just be a dumb guy. Man, I'll be winning in life.
We'll probably be the top. We'll be Ariel Helwani if we just started being dumb. It'll be that quick.
Yeah, we just get in here and just make odd noises and scratch our armpits the whole time, and we'll just be balling out of control, man. That seems to be the trend we're going at. Yeah. You stupid motherfuckers, man. Like use that shit, bro. Do you have anything up there? If you're so stupid that you can't think outside of your own life, your own circumstances, man, just go ahead. I'm gonna open this window for you, and you just go ahead, take a leap of faith, my brother. Take a leap. All right, stupid bastards. All right,
we could not get through our trenches without a Walker rant. We can't. We just can't do it.
Man, I couldn't get through the week without a rant. Like yesterday was like the bizarro world for me. Like, what in the hell? What is going on? So in the same day, we have this whole Ostovich and Greg Hardy, sharing the spotlight, which terrible enough. Then we had the MMA journalists being shut out from actually doing their jobs. And I definitely want to talk to you a little more off air about that, because that raises some very interesting issues that we probably shouldn't play out in the public. But then not only that, no, excuse me. So you had that. Oh, that was nasty. Ooh, that was nasty. Woo. But anyway, I'm foul for that. All right. So not only that, then you had and he, and maybe we're making too much of this, but Khabib Nurmagomedov, his video. Some video at like some Q&A where he told some girl that was asking for advice as a female fighter, and he said, "Go home and finish your husband." It's just like come on. And then I didn't even put this. This isn't really that big of a deal, but Randy Couture's sex tape.
Is that true?
I
saw someone put it. I thought it was bullshit. I thought it was just somebody joking. That's true.
From what I hear, yes, it's true. I was not brave enough to log on to Pornhub and look for myself at the natural.
Can you log on to Pornhub and verify it?
I'm sorry. I will jump on many swords as a media member / journalist or whatever the hell I am, but I will not watch Randy Couture stroke his Johnson on Pornhub. I'm disappointed. Hard pass. Hard pass. No pun intended.
Investigative reporter. I'm disappointed you won't go to these lengths.
Oh, lengths. I see what you did there. All right. Yeah. So, man. All right. And Jay confirms that yes, it's real.
Wow. Jay, have you watched it? Jay
probably watching it right now. Jay, you nasty. You a nasty motherfucker, Jay.
He asked me if I went to have a shoey last week. Jay, you nasty.
Yeah, Jay, nasty. You nasty for that, Jay. Just call me Jay if you're nasty. All right. Yeah. So like it was a bizarre war for me. It's like, what the hell is going on today?
Yeah.
Like today, like there was this one moment where I'm scrolling through my timeline on Twitter and I see like on the same screen, it's something about Khabib at the Q&A, the Randy sex tape, which I forgot to mention in my tweet about this. There was also the journalist being shut out because of the Greg Hardy booking, and it was just like man, and it was just on one screen on my little ass phone. I'm like, wow, what a day! Like this is what I do. This is one of those times where like I question my life. I'm like what the hell am I doing? It was like a flashback to the 229 press conference where I'm actually having a conversation with Dana White about Derrick Lewis's balls. We're just like, wow, I never thought my life would turn out like this.
I'm fascinated by his Couture. Is a Couture thing like old? Is it some old and some recent? Is it like some Oscar De La Hoya in the fishnets came out of nowhere, late out of nowhere thing, or is this recent?
You know what? I'm not even going to try to find out. I don't even want to know, bro. I don't want to know. I mean,
he's the natural, baby. Come on.
I mean, hey, I'm not going to discredit the act of self-pleasure. I think we've all been there at some point in our lives. But I mean, bro, I ain't doing it on camera.
Natural, baby. Come on.
And and if I did it on camera, I didn't show my face.
That's smart. Smart.
Hey, man, you got to be careful, man. Whew, man, no, thank you. I am a fan of Captain America, but not that much.
Woo! All
right. I probably should have worn a Captain America shirt today instead of my Star Lab shirt to commemorate Randy Couture's new career.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So.
Oh no, they're gonna be like a Captain America Scarlet Witch shit. Oh my god.
Oh man. Yeah, let's get off this topic before we dive deep into a place that we can't get out of. All right, so next question. This is from Purple Storm. I believe Purple Storm has asked some questions before. Shout out to Purple Storm. Joanna versus Valentina this weekend in Toronto for the vacant 125 title. What must each do to win, and who do you have winning?
I was watching the countdown show, not Embedded, the countdown that's on FS1, and it was fascinating, bro. The fact that they both fought each other 3 times in kickboxing or Muay Thai kickboxing, way back in the last time being 10 years ago, and Shevchenko 3-0 against Joanna. So that's a fascinating element, of course, without a doubt. That was a long time ago, 10 years ago. They've changed, but still, that's a mental hurdle for Joanna. I mean, not only did she lose to this particular woman 3 times previously, and she's got a big ego. She probably doesn't love the fact that she's lost to anybody, but she is also moving up the division. So she's going up to fight someone that fought at 35 coming down, not someone that's at 25, and she's just moving up to her. No, it's a big person coming down. She's going up to the big, so there's all these mental elements that she has to go through. It's fascinating to that she has to get by. Damn, I don't know. Like, I like Joanna's movement. She's got the speed. Shevchenko's a fighter that not flat-footed, but she reminds me of like a Jose Aldo in a way. Like, very technical, but isn't moving around, bopping smooth, circling. She's kind of stays in front, very accurate, technical. She can feint and move her head reflexes. But Joanna's willing to bop. Joanna's willing to kick and then move around, and I like that about her. So I'm gonna pick Shevchenko over 5 rounds. I think Joanna hasn't been hit by someone like Shevchenko. Not that Shevchenko's a power puncher, but she probably hits harder. She's already beaten her. I think she can win. She might be even strong enough that maybe she can pop out a takedown here and there, surprise, score some points. I think it'll be a decision. Both of them usually go to decisions. So I think Shevchenko will do enough to win. She'll have got enough damage on Joanna that she'll get out the win. But it'll probably be a fun, competitive, good fight.
I kind of feeling a decision win for Shevchenko as well. But I don't think necessarily the wins in Muay Thai will have much of an effect on this. I mean, 10 years down the road, they both have drastically improved as fighters. At what pace, I don't know. I haven't seen their original fight, so I can't really comment on any technical things that I would notice that are different. But 10 years is a very long time, and it's not like they've been sitting on their thumbs, eating Twinkies all day. Like, they've been out there getting it in at a very, very high level. But I really want to see what Joanna looks like without this weight cut that takes a lot out of her. Now, I do think it's very silly that she's so adamant about going back down to strawweight after this. I'm not a fan of that. No. And I did see one question about that at some point. So maybe that's next up on our queue. But I really don't I don't think that's going to play much of a factor as far as the old fights. But Joanna could come in much stronger. Maybe they will be of equal size. You look at Shevchenko being grossly undersized when she fought Amanda Nunes and some of her, and Holly Holm. I mean, she was definitely a smaller person, but she was able to make it work with her speed, with her technique. But where I think it differs is the ground game. Shevchenko has shown herself to be a very, very good offensive grappler. And this is somebody who submitted Juliana Pena, who is known just for her skills on the ground. Yeah. And that is no easy feat to submit her. We haven't seen that from Joanna. We've seen Joanna stay out of some of these bad positions. Yes. Yeah. We've seen her avoid the danger, but we've never seen her utilize that danger to get a win. Her wins have been strictly on the feet, and against someone who is at least proven to be an equal, if not better, striker than her. I don't know if that's going to be good enough. So maybe if we see a Joanna that is significantly stronger or significantly sharper due to being fresher from the weight cut, from the lack of weight cut, then all right. I can see Joanna pulling it off, but my first instinct tells me that this is going to be Shevchenko, and I don't necessarily think it's going to be that close. I think it'll be a decision, but it will be something very clear, very definitive, and I don't think we'll have any question about who the real winner is when the judges read the scorecards, unless, of course, Cecil Peoples is back on duty, which he hasn't been on duty since, let me look this up, since UFC 167 in 2013. So peace, Cecil. and Doug Crosby. Oh my God! But Doug Crosby only works in New York. Doug Crosby needs to get all the way the hell up out of there too. Yeah. So that's my feelings on that one. Yeah. Anything else to add to that one, Jason?
No, I mean that's mainly it. I mean, I'm curious. I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm the weight cut was never easy for Joanna. She's had some bad weight cuts, and having done a podcast with her strength coach, hearing some of the stuff and how difficult it was, and working with perfecting athletes that fucked her all the hell up in the first Rose Namajunas fight. So, just excited. That's a great. This month we have 2 women's MMA super fights, which we really never have, hardly ever. So I'm pumped for both of them.
Yeah. So, all right. So our next question is from Executioner MMA. He says, Joanna gave Thug Rose an ultimatum, saying Rose only has 4 months left to defend against Andrade, and if not, she wants the belt stripped and will fight Andrade again for the vacant belt. Your thoughts on this? Can I go first on this one?
Please do.
Nope. Yeah. I don't think Joanna, and no disrespect to Joanna, she is amazing at what she does, and she was a great champion, but you lost twice to Rose Namajunas. No matter how much she chooses to not accept that as reality, it is reality. Rose Namajunas beat her twice. The first time she knocked her out. So I'm sorry, you don't have any place to dictate what goes on in that division, especially if you're leaving that division.
Yes.
Now maybe the UFC will decide, hey, we want her to hold 2 belts, and they'll if she comes out victorious against Shevchenko, or if she loses and she comes back down to strawweight, fine. But you can't sit there and tell her she's got X amount of time to do anything, because it's not your belt.
Yep.
Right now it's not your division.
Yep.
So, I mean, even if that were the case, even if it were the case that the UFC was going to strip her, who is to say that she is going to be the one slotted for that next title shot? Who's to say that?
Yep.
No guarantees there, especially if you've got 2 losses to the reigning champion. So, what do you say, Jason?
And I mean, it just nonsense. But that's just her. She's been like this for a long time, and it seems like it's gotten even stronger the last few years, where she just makes these grand proclamations and stuff like that. And she's made these grand proclamations even after she's lost. So, I don't know. I think you nailed every point there is. It's not, you're not in the division. You lost twice. You really have no place to say anything. So just shush.
Yeah. And then also, I think it really is devaluing the cult following that she developed as well.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, how many fans just got behind her because she's cool? Like, she's a sneakerhead. She's funny. She's engaging. She's very insightful. There are a whole lot of things to love about Joanna Jędrzejczyk. There are plenty of things to love about her, and I'm still a fan. Still love watching her. Just even with her losing twice to Rose and her kind of going on these rants that don't really make a lot of sense, she is still incredible. But you're taking away a lot of that goodwill that you built up with fans by not accepting reality.
Yes,
please accept reality. And if you are determined to go up there and fight for the strawweight title again, go and do it. But it's not going to be because you said the belt needs to be stripped because she has X amount of time to defend it. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Did she not defend it in April?
Yeah.
against her.
She fought Andrade, right? Rose
Uh,
fight Andrade yet?
No. She hasn't fought her yet.
But she's only fought Joanna. I thought she had fought somebody else since Joanna, but yeah, maybe it was supposed to be Andrade and it happened, whatever. But
yeah, I'm having serious brain lapse right now.
Jay, look it up, please. Has Rose fought anybody since Joanna, the rematch? But and you know the Rose, not the Rose, but the apple really started to turn on Joanna with the treatment of how she acted with Rose in that first fight, and Rose handling it in a very different way. And who likes a sore loser? She's been like a sore loser in a way. That's the thing that's always bugged me about the Diaz brothers. When they win, oh yeah, man, hug, whatever. But when they lose, they storm off or start a fight. It just, no one wants a sore loser. And for her grace as a champion, she has no grace as a loser. And that's, for me as a fan, it's changed my opinion on her a lot. I watch her fight anytime. She's a must watch, but liking her as a fan, because all of us journalists are still fans. I'm very mixed on her, the way she's handled her losses.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, we were right on it. Rose hasn't fought since she defended against Joanna in April on 223. But yeah, I'm with you on that, man. It's just not a good look. It's just simply not a good look. And Joanna is better than that. She is better than that.
Stature,
totally. She's much better than that. And this sort of thing is unnecessary. And quite frankly, it doesn't get you anywhere.
Nope.
It gets you nowhere. I mean, look at Conor McGregor's legend rising more after that first Nate Diaz loss. Mm-hmm. And even, the streets are talking. They loving that he didn't press charges on Khabib, after 229 brawl. Yeah. Or you look at Dominick Cruz when he lost to Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah.
And that was like the classiest moment in mixed martial arts history. Yep. So those sort of things stick with people, and they can get behind you because of things like that. And if you're gonna be the person who trash talks and who is classless, you got to be entertaining with it. Mm-hmm. You've got to be the Chael Sonnen where you're funny at least.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're not humorous, then it's like, why are you doing this? If you're not going to get a chuckle from somebody, and what's the point? So it just doesn't even fit her. It doesn't even seem right. It seems counter to the personality that developed that cult following.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely don't want to see that from her, but hey, I'm just a clown in a DC comic shirt. What do I know? All right. So our next question. So this is going to be, Jade made sure to put pronunciation for this one, because man, I'm about to screw this up.
Leo cunt again.
I know, right? Seirai Oko Zinyo says, what do you expect from Holloway versus Ortega? A close fight, a one-sided decision, or a finish? And most importantly, who you got?
Oof, I can't wait for this fight. And like the narrative of bringing up if Holloway is right from what he's gone through and he's not even completely sure what happened with him, that's fascinating. And it's a legitimate thing to wonder if he is completely right where he's supposed to be, or did something change with him. We won't know until around 12:30 Eastern time when they get in the cage with each other. But it's made me feel closer about it. Like before, I think Max is going to win, very good fight, but he'll win. Maybe he will finish him. Now I'm just like, I don't know. I got to see how he looks in those first few rounds to really know if that's going to happen, because Ortega is very good. I mean, I will still hold pat that I feel Holloway will win. It'll be very good, very competitive. It may not go to decision, and that's fine. That doesn't mean it won't be a good competitive fight. But this will be Ortega's version of GSP when he lost to Hughes. I think this will be, yep, he couldn't get to the mountaintop yet. No problem. He's going to rework and climb right back up, and he's going to eventually get the title and be one of the great 145ers ever, because he's so good on the ground. He's so cerebral and smart on the ground, and he's starting to take that cerebral style to the feet. And now he's becoming a dual threat, and he's nasty. So I don't think he's ready yet, but this is probably like the beginning of something much bigger to come. And probably I wouldn't be surprised if like the last run of Holloway, maybe his reign coming, ending within the next year or two, and him moving away or whatever, and to set up Ortega's eventual future as the kingpin of the division.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a very likely scenario. I don't think these guys are are going to just have this one and done with each other. I mean, they both alluded to this in the press conference yesterday that they believe this is the start of a real series and a rivalry between the two, a friendly rivalry, but a rivalry nonetheless. Like these two guys are probably going to get matched up again. This time, I initially was in the same camp as you. Like I thought Holloway would pull off the victory, but I'm still scared to death about his health.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely afraid for his health. And, and of course, this is the fight business. People do get hurt. That's just, comes with the territory. But man, like that was scary, the way he got pulled out of their last booking. Yep. That was really frightening. And to see the interviews where he's slurring his words and stuff, and then for them to not have any idea what really happened. Yes. I don't know. Now, while I will say this, I do think he hasn't had the exact same speech as he did before all the time now. I think the uproar that I've seen, at least on social media, is probably a bit exaggerated. The press conferences seem much more like himself. So there's that. But I still, without having any real answers, I don't know what to think. Yeah. Now, if we get 100% of both guys, I think Holloway can pull that one out because he is so deadly in every realm. But then on top of that, he wins his fights by really steamrolling people. He damn near steamrolled Aldo. He definitely did in the rematch. He steamrolled Aldo in the rematch. He steamrolled through Pettis. He's done some very savage things to some very savage men. Ortega has done the same, but his has been a lot more hard fought. I think with the exception of the Frankie Edgar fight, he seems to be in trouble early, and then suddenly some thunderous shot to get the guy wobbled, to snatch up the choke, or some crazy back taker. Something very dramatic happens, and then he turns the tides that quickly, and that's cool. But how many opportunities are you going to get against 100% Max Holloway?
Exactly.
Like 100% Max Holloway does not make that many mistakes for you to capitalize off. And he is not the type of guy who, once he builds up momentum, that he's going to let you back in this at all.
Yep.
You can
feel his momentum shifts in his fights. Like you can feel the moment where it's like, shit, he's going to get rid of this guy.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that first Aldo fight. Yes. It was a very clear moment where it's like, oh, this is different.
Yeah.
It was a very definitive moment where
Pettis
you knew.
Too.
Oh, yeah. Pettis as well. There was a very clear line in the sand where it's like, okay, this is what I'm feeling out. The guy might have a little success. He might land some strikes here and there. But once I cross this line, it's a wrap, son.
Yep.
And he crossed that line, and there was like nothing that could be done. And that is something that we very well could see. If Ortega doesn't come out with a faster start, if he doesn't come out, and not to say that he's necessarily a slow starter, but I think he spends a little time trying to fill somebody out, or just maybe looking too long for that right opportunity, but he still somehow finds it. I don't think you have that chance with Holloway. And if Holloway does pull out the victory in that fashion, this is something that will make Ortega better. And quite frankly, I've never met Holloway in person, but I know he was about 185 leading up to the Khabib offer at 223. But I've met Brian Ortega several times. In fact, I saw him at the Chuck Tito fight outside. We both were having a little trouble trying to get into the forum because the security and the whole logistics were complete gutter trash. But that's another story. Like Ortega's a big dude. He's a really big dude to be fighting at 145. I think these two guys, man, I'd love to see them at 155.
Right.
I would love to see them fight at 155, but I think we'll get an appetizer for what could be one of the all-time great trilogy series in mixed martial arts on Saturday night. So looking forward to that.
And to add to the health thing that you brought up, doesn't Max Holloway seem like the kind of guy that wouldn't listen to his body, and the fighter in him will make him take a fight he's probably not ready for?
Absolutely, man. He's a knucklehead. He's a knucklehead.
Yeah, you just that who knows? He would come into this fight compromised because he wants to compete and he just thinks he can do it anyway. And that we don't know that factor is for real.
Yeah, and he is native of Hawaii. Hawaiian people, man, they are fighters.
Yes,
they don't back down.
Yep.
Like, I'll tell you this: my wedding was in Hawaii. The night before, 2 nights before the wedding, me and the groomsmen, we snuck out to a local club, and some girls came up to us and were like, "Hey, you guys aren't from here, are you?" Like, "No, we're just chilling." And said, "Well, be careful, because all the guys in here is sizing y'all up right now." Like all it probably would have taken was one of us to talk to somebody's girl or something, and we would have got our ass whooped in there.
Yeah.
I didn't try to snatch their eye out or something just to let them know it's real. Let somebody regret the day they messed me up for life. But still, like this is a fighting culture.
Yep.
Their culture is all about fighting. I mean, BJ Penn came from something. He was a rich kid, but he loves to fight.
Yep.
Hawaii is like the forgotten, one of those forgotten meccas of mixed martial arts. And Max Holloway is kind of reviving that. One reason why it exists is because they are a fighting people. It's a fighting culture. Koji Kimbo, one of the more vicious martial arts that you can find, Hawaiian origin as well. Like, so these are tough people. Max Holloway, just on that alone, man, Max Holloway could have just had a gunshot. And he will, and if he can sneak it past a commission official, he will make the walk. Keep in mind, he wasn't the one that backed down from that 223 cut. The commission stopped him.
Yep.
So God knows what he was physically going through, but that man was going to get in there and fight Khabib Nurmagomedov regardless.
Yep.
If they let him. So that's a tough man, very tough man. All right. So our final question is from Kung Fu Z, the good guy right there who's supplied us with a few good questions in the past. Now, he says, and speaking of Khabib Nurmagomedov, he says Ortega was saying he wanted Khabib after he wins the belt. How do you feel about the whole champ versus champ thing, or should the guy just concentrate on his own division and maybe ... actually defend the belt first?
Yeah, I mean, he's dead on. I mean, I'm over it. I mean, I'm glad in a way. I'm glad if they're doing Cejudo Dillashaw, or Dillashaw is going down, and Cejudo at least is defending the title once, possibly for the last time in the title and division's existence. Yeah, you got to do it. I'm so over it. I'm over the champ. Conor didn't even defend his title. I mean, would it be Ortega versus Nurmagomedov? Be fun? Of course, they're both fantastic on the ground. Who wouldn't want to watch that? But let's really, super fights have completely lost their luster. They really once meant something. When BJ Penn for George St. Pierre, their second time in BJ going up to 170, it was amazing. It was so huge because they both were dominant champions who had defended their titles, and they're like, shit, there's not a lot else to fight. Let's fight each other. And already had a backstory of a previous fight. Those are the classic super fights. So the stuff they do, even Amanda Nunes versus Cyborg this month, that's a legit super fight. Nunes is fairly clean up the division. Cyborg cleaned up the division like 4 years ago. She's just lapping it a couple times now. That's a legit super fight. So those are the ones that happen. I mean, they started using terms like super fight for anybody that's facing each other in different divisions. I'm over it. I'd rather see Ortega and Khabib defend their titles multiple times before anything like that happens. It'd be great. Khabib defend a couple times. Max Holloway is still champion. Let's do Max Holloway and Khabib in a year or two after Khabib has maybe beaten the Ferguson or beaten Poirier or Conor again. That would be worth it, and it'd be massive. So please stop super fight. Stop talking about people in the other division. Just become champion and then defend it, please.
I'm so in agreement with that. I mean, definitely Ortega versus Khabib Nurmagomedov is stylistically just a beautiful prospect, and I probably will rush home after I write Ask Ant, of course, and play Brian Ortega versus Khabib Nurmagomedov on UFC video game.
Wait a minute, what system you got?
PS4.
Oh, we gotta get this game going.
Oh, somebody trying to get their head busted wide open.
Game go and then live stream it. Can we, Jay? Can this happen? Can we get a game going and then live stream it? Not now, but eventually one of these days. so Anthony just can be just soundly defeated. And then, East Coast, West Coast once again has been brought up.
Man,
the
you know
war
what?
Continues.
First of all, Jason, while I live on the West Coast right now, I'm an East Coast guy through and through.
You like Tupac? You left. You West Coast.
Oh, yeah, Pac did leave. But
did.
all right. I'll be Pac. All right, I'll take that on. But man, first of all, you don't want this smoke. You don't want this smoke. You don't want it. My feint game is crazy.
Smoke it up.
You don't want that. And really, what we should do, we should make our custom characters of ourselves.
Oh,
that's what I want. So I want to be Anthony Walker beating up Cheap Seats Chat himself.
Can I wear glasses in the cage? And can I say, would you hit a man with glasses?
You got to put your contacts on, player.
Oh.
Or you know what? Hey, damn that.
Goggles.
I'll put mine on too.
Oh.
Yeah, man. So hey, we get it. We can get it in regardless, man. You're just gonna catch these hands. That's all I'm saying. You're just gonna catch these hands. So we're gonna make that happen for Sherdog.com. It's gonna be some live chat beatdown, courtesy of your man Ant Walker, smashing this guy. Jason
and record this. Remember when he's saying this? So when he loses, he's like, I don't know. I didn't know you were a ringer or some bullshit. I didn't know that was gonna happen. Remember this.
Oh, you know what? The excuses are already being prepared.
Your report is gonna have a question of, damn, Anthony, what happened in that fight with Jason Burgos on EA US Sports 3? That's Europe 1. Prepare the question now.
I wish I had the soundbite ready where Mike Tyson was like, I broke my back and it was spinal. That's what happened. That's what happened if I lose.
Oh, you have a classic Tito. You crack skull.
Oh, the crack skull. Crack skull popping, baby. Crack skull popping. Crack skull is popping, man. Yeah, so just in case that's what happened. But that ain't gonna happen because I'm gonna smoke your ass. But yeah, man. So I want to see that fight. I want to see that fight, but just not now. Like, it's no point in doing it now. So I want to see all these fresh matchups. I want to see, if Aldo, it looks like he's sticking around at 145. I'd like to see Ortega versus Aldo if Ortega wins. Like, I want to see, I want to see Max Holloway go up to 155, win or lose, just for his own health and safety. And let's see what Holloway can do against a Poirier or another guy who left 145 or against Cowboys since he's supposed to be coming back down. Or Gaethje. Like, there are so many interesting matchups there. So the super fight thing, yes, is already getting played out. Because it's been used the wrong way. It's definitely been used the wrong way. So I mean, I definitely would say Conor versus Eddie Alvarez was a super fight, but that wasn't necessarily because Conor cleaned out the featherweight division. He did.
Nor Eddie. I don't think Eddie defended it.
No, Eddie didn't at all.
So it was just like bullshit.
But it also was. It was a star moment. It was a rare, once in a lifetime moment that the UFC had to jump on because competitively it wasn't a bad decision, but business wise it was a fantastic decision. So it was something that made sense from both sides of the coin. But this time, if they do it, no, thank you. I mean, I hate to be the guy who's got to call Tony Ferguson and let him know.
Yes, I feel bad for him, man.
Oh man, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. The only man that
beat him was a damn cable cord. No one has beaten this man other than a cable cord. Come on.
Yeah. So let's not anything that distracts from Khabib versus Tony. I'm sorry, hard pass. And the only exception I'll say, Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
Okay. I can rock with that. I can rock with Dustin Poirier versus Khabib for the next lightweight title. But Ortega nor Holloway belongs there yet. So let's have these fights genuinely build up. Let's actually have super fights that were created organically instead of just forced together. Because even still,
that's another one.
What do you say?
DC Stipe, that's another one. They both were great in their divisions, and it made complete sense. It was just natural. It had to be natural, like Randy Couture, Pornhub natural.
Right. Oh yeah. I forgot all about that. Thank you for haunting my dreams.
I'm taking it to new lengths, baby.
New lengths. See, something about you in that length where you. Man, you didn't seen the video already, huh?
I'm pondering it.
I better not get a text from you later today saying, "Oh man, Randy's packing." I don't want to hear nothing like that.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
man. So yeah, that's kind of our thoughts on that. Once again, appreciate everyone for listening. We appreciate all your questions. Some questions that are left over will be used by your man. That's me, Anthony Walker, for the Ask Ant column, which I will write after I start training to beat Jason Burgos down in EA Sports MMA. I'm going to craft the perfect fighter.
I'm going to start training too.
Man, I'm telling you, I'm going to craft a fighter that's going to be sexy as hell, just like me, with skills and style. Oh, dude, my goodness. I gotta update the hair too. I got to create a fighter to look like me, but it ain't special enough, man. I got to give you that work. I got to give you that work, bro. It's just that simple. So the streets have asked for this. They're gonna get it.
I'm gonna rep my set.
Yeah, man. So definitely. So let's big up Jay for once again doing a fine job behind the boards, producing this show, making sure those questions were fed, and fact checking. Because hey, we don't always think. We just be talking. So Jason, tell the folks where to find you. Tell the folks what you have coming up for everyone to look out for.
I'm assuming since it didn't go up today, it's going to go up tomorrow. I had a very interview with the man many people know as Alberto Del Rio, or Alberto El Patron, former WWE heavyweight champion, Royal Rumble winner. He is like a brand ambassador, color commentator for Combates America. Got to interview him last week, which was great. Just as a wrestling fan and as a person that hasn't discovered Combates America, just talking about that. Honestly, Combates America is similar to one. They're just really blowing up within a certain fan base, specifically catering to like Spanish-speaking fans and doing some good things in Mexico, Spain, Latin America. Hopefully that comes tomorrow. This week was a busy week. Had 5 interviews with Bellator fighters for 212 and 213. Talked to Neiman Gracie, Alimile McFarlane, which was perfect when you were bringing up the culture, Hawaiian fighter culture thing. She talked to me about that, and I got some quotes. Liam McGeary, talked to Brent Primus today. He does not like Michael Chandler. No surprise there. And also talked to, who am I forgetting? Oh, my God. I'm forgetting somebody.
Too many interviews to keep up with, man.
I know it's too many. Rafael Carvalho. I didn't talk to him. I emailed questions. So there you go. But hopefully all of those should be coming next week. So 5 articles next week. And I have the PFL stuff that should be dripping slowly as they get to the championship. And as always, follow me, Cheap Seats Chat, on Twitter and on Instagram.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely gotta say, anybody who's listening right now, if you haven't checked out my man Jason Burgos' piece profiling Sean O'Connell, who is in the light heavyweight PFL final on New Year's Eve, do so. Excellent piece. Nice and complimentary too with a lot of the stuff you've been doing, man. Your interview with the one CEO was amazing as well, which actually a lot of it got rehashed when he was interviewed by Ariel Helwani. So hey, Jason Burgos out there breaking news, man. Breaking news, man. So big up to you, man. Excellent work, man. I'm a fan and a friend. What can I say, brother?
Oh, I won't hold it against you if you beat me in the EA Sports. It's okay. I appreciate the compliments.
Well, I'm glad you're mentally preparing for defeat already.
Yeah, I
am. So appreciate that. But of course, I'm Anthony Walker. You can find me on Twitter at AntWalkerMMA. So tonight, going home, I'm writing Ask Ant. That should be out tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, depending on how I feel. Because it'll be up tomorrow though. It probably tomorrow morning because I talk all that shit now, but I go home. Dad, I did it again. I go home and I work very diligently. So that's gonna be hitting your screens tomorrow morning. I would assume if it's edited in time. Also, I'm going to have another Good, Bad, and Ugly. This one for UFC 231 this weekend, of course. So this is going to be tricky. I will not be watching it just fully concentrated live because my office's holiday party is going on. And I will be enjoying life a little bit. Right. And then I will probably be massively hungover, order the replay and watch and right there with in a very foul mood. So
can we play
the ugly column's going to be sick. Anyway, so this should be a fun one. And I believe that's all I've got coming up right now that I can think of off the top of my head. But yeah, follow me on Twitter if you need any more updates, or just look at my feature page on Sherdog.com. See all that shit too. But anyway, once again, appreciate everyone for listening. Appreciate your questions. Appreciate you joining in with the trenches for Sherdog.com. I am Anthony Walker. He is Jason Burgos. You know what to do. Just keep doing the damn thing. Be you. Be beautiful. Stay sexy. Peace.
Oh man.
Oh, there we go. Does it stop now?